In 2 hours, voters in Ontario will start casting their ballots for the next premier of the province. It is a tight race to the top between Doug Ford's Progressive Conservatives and Andrea Horwath's NDP after Liberal leader Kathleen Wynne gave an early concession over the weekend. So joining us this morning is the Globe and Mail's Adam Radwanski. Good to have you with us this morning. So we know really that the only poll that matters, of course, is the one that happens on Election Day. That being said, there are polls out there, and the latest one shows that the PCs are ahead with the NDP in a close second. The Liberals are behind. But in this election, more time than any I can ever remember, people have come to me and said, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. Yeah. I don't know who to vote for. Hopefully that means people will still get out and vote. But they don't have that feeling in their gut. That's one of the big variables, is how many people just stay home today. And I think, yeah, that's been right from the start. I mean, there's been sort of this refrain of, oh, if Christine Elliott had been named the Progressive Conservative leader, that would have been an easy vote. Who knows if it would have played out that way or not. But I think a lot of people have really struggled. And so one of the big questions is, yeah, for all the polls show, A, who gets their vote out? And B, when people actually get to the ballot box, I mean, do they suddenly decide, oh, okay, I can live with Doug Ford after all? Or do they go, was what happened this week with his family the final straw? It's really hard to know about that. So, and he is the unknown quantity. We know the leadership style of Kathleen Wynne. Andrea Horwath has been a leader the longest of the three of them. We sort of know her leadership style, but Doug is an unproven leader. Very unproven, and they've done absolutely, honestly, almost nothing to give us a real sense of how he would govern during this campaign. Intentional, do you think? I think so. I mean, I think, look, they've run a safe frontrunners campaign. They've made adjustments along the way. They turned their sights more on the NDP. They also made some effort to try to highlight people who are running alongside him, other candidates, including Christine Elliott. But I think they've tried to really keep him to a minimum. He hasn't taken a lot of reporters' questions. He didn't release a full platform, I mean, with a costing document. So it's really a bit of a guessing game as to what kind of premier he would actually be. A lot of talk, whatever happens tomorrow in terms of who wins, a lot of talk around the Liberals. What will happen next? What happens to Kathleen Wynne? And will they lose their, sort of recognized party status if they very well might. They very well might. I mean, they're at risk of, they could win 10, 12 seats. They could win 0 seats. I mean, that's a real risk for them. Is there a real risk of them winning 0 seats? Well, there is, because there's not one safe riding I can spot. And the thing is, if they don't win many seats, I mean, even if they win fewer than about 8, first of all, they're going to lose a lot of people who could replace her as leader. I mean, a lot of the younger people, they could still run for the leadership, but not having a seat is bad. They're also going to have, no money, which is a real problem for them. It's hard to fundraise, and they're counting on a subsidy in Ontario per vote, which is new. If they don't get that, if they get very few votes, they're going to be really deep in debt with no leader, almost no MPPs or no MPPs. Not an obvious replacement. So they'll be starting over. Almost so, yeah. The stakes are very high for them. All right, there are 17 new ridings in this election. Most of those are in the GTA. So now the total number of ridings in Ontario is 124. That's the number. How could these new ridings affect the outcome? Well, originally, you would have thought they might help the Liberals because they are mostly in the GTA. As it happens, I mean, I think in the suburbs, where there's a bunch, they should help the Conservatives more. In the city of Toronto, for instance, in downtown Toronto, there's 3 instead of 2 now. That should help the NDP now. There's also a couple of new ones in the north, and that again helps the NDP, which is by far the strongest party in the north. So if anybody, I think the NDP might benefit a little bit from the new map. We were talking with people over the weekend and throughout the week who've said to me when Kathleen Wynne came out on the weekend and basically conceded that the Liberals weren't going to win, she took away their backup. Because when people are unsure, they often default to what they know, the devil they know. But when she conceded, that took away that option, I think people felt for people. Yeah, I was in a sports bar on the road a few nights ago, and one of the Liberal ads came on during a hockey game. And I heard the guys at the table next to me saying, I thought she's not running again. So, I mean, I thought she'd already stepped down. So, I mean, I think they created a lot of confusion around that, too. I mean, it had the virtue of honesty, because obviously she's not going to win the election, and it's better than pretending that she might. But I think people don't really understand what the Liberals are asking them to do right now, which could cause their vote to crater even more. Really quickly, when we had all 3 leaders here, when they first declared, we asked, Kathleen Wynne, why are you running again? You're very unpopular in the province of Ontario. But we also asked NDP leader Andrea Horwath if it comes down to a minority government and she has to support one or the other, who would she be the kingmaker for? And she said, never mind that. I want to be the queen. Yeah. And it's kind of played out that way. There's no way she's going to have to think about whether she wants to make Kathleen Wynne the premier, right? Right. So I think, look, they're never going to say exactly before the election what they would do. I think if whichever party wins the most seats will probably get a chance to govern. What will be really interesting is, let's say there's a minority where the Conservatives have 1 more seat than the NDP, and the Liberals have the balance. I mean, there it's so close, the Liberals will have to make a real calculation of would their voters stand for them letting Doug Ford govern,
or do they give the NDP a chance? So there could be a lot of interesting scenarios, but again, it depends whether the Liberals get any seats. If they don't, then a minority is really not in the cards anyway.
You have got hours in front of you, my friends, and probably a sleepless night. We'll let you go. Adam, thanks for being here today.